Yeah, if you haven't noticed that the Black Stars haven't qualified for the AFCON, it's not your fault. Because really, if you look at it, failing to qualify for the AFCON can actually be a blessing. And I know many of you are upset, but maybe you don't have to be upset. Considering where the economy is right now, what do we really gain from the Black Stars going to the World Cup? Let's pause and think about it again. What's really there to gain? Apart from the bragging rights and the emotional benefit of being excited about the game and watching them and jubilating, there's nothing. There's a lot more of negatives when they go to the World Cup, when they go to the AFCON, that we've seen over the period. And we're going to break that apart and understand why maybe this actually offers an opportunity to reset, to rethink, to restructure things, to do something really revolutionary with the whole setup of the Ghana Football Association and the Black Stars itself. Something radical must happen, because this is unacceptable. When it came down to it, the Black Stars, bottom of the table there, in qualifying for the AFCON. Angola is sitting pretty. Sudan, Niger, the Black Stars. I mean, at the bottom. And the most shocking part of this is, we have 3 points. 3. I mean, it's so embarrassing when you look at it that you wonder, is this the Ghana, the football nation? Are we still a footballing nation? It's a question that we need to genuinely ask. Because it's been a long time since you didn't even play second or third. We're bottom of the table. We played a match tonight. We played a match tonight here at the Accra Sports Stadium. And you know what the result was? We could not even score. That is a shame indeed. But there you have it. It's been 20 years since we last failed to qualify to the AFCON. 20 whole years, but it's happened. But this has been coming, by the way. It's been coming because everybody else who's followed the Black Stars over the period will tell you that apart from the 2008 to 2017, that period where we had a glory years of 2 finals and 4 semifinals, from 2019, we started seeing the decline. Round of 16 exit. 2021, we had a group stage exit. 2023, we had another group stage exit. Now, we don't even qualify at all. So if anybody is surprised that we have this very embarrassing record, that for 20 years we've been going to the AFCON, and now we couldn't go, I tell you, this has been coming. And it's good that it's here at this time, because we'll pause for some thought after this, right? And then you begin to see why this could be a blessing. We don't have to waste this amount of money on the Black Stars and the GFA. They do not deserve a single penny. And yes, I use the word waste deliberately, because that's what it is, really. You spent $3 million on the Black Stars, and they brought you group stage exit. The last time we spent that money on them, $3 million, 0 group stage exit. That is how wasteful the Black Stars have become. In an economy that is struggling, we are begging everybody for money to shore up this economy, right? Just ask the BOG. They're looking for money just to shore up the city. And you're going to throw $3 million away on the Black Stars, players who don't know what the meaning of patriotism and sacrifice is. I argue that this is why this qualification, a failure to qualify, is actually a blessing in disguise. It's actually a blessing in disguise. And we needed this to save this money. Because if you look at it, $3.4 million in 2017, $4.5 million in 2019, money wasted over the period, really, because we have nothing to show for it. I mean, they cost us more pain, more controversy, run the name of the country in the mud, tear down the little reputation we built on the international community, because they go and return with nothing more than bad news and controversy and pain and heartache. And on top of that, you spend this amount of money on them. It's not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. And I look at the prize money. I mean, even if you were thinking about the money, it's not really about what we get back. It's really nothing. But considering that we've gone out at this stage, just in the thousands, we're spending far more on the Black Stars than what we're getting out. Even if you want to look at how much you bring back, netting it off cost-benefit analysis, purely in monetary terms, they're not bringing us anything back that is worth spending that much on them, because we've gone out to round 16. Quarterfinal stage, we've not been there in a long time, just 1.3 million, but we're spending far more on that. And if you look at the net spend there, the AFCON expenditure versus the prize money, we're talking about some difference of $2.3 million. That clearly, nobody can make the argument that you can spend this much, lose this much on the Black Stars, and they then turn around and then show attitude, impose emotional trauma on the country, and bring in more controversy because we decided to spend this much on it. So yeah, of course, it's good that he didn't qualify. Now, and the total AFCON prize money really between that period of 2019 to 2023, it's just $1.37 million. And I've told you already, when you compare it to what we have, is absolutely nothing. Yes, we received some money from FIFA when we participated in the World Cup, but again, that's money that you need to ask, where is the accountability when we receive these? Where is the accountability? So that whole architecture around the Black Stars, the GFA, needs a radical overhaul. Lack of accountability that breeds lack of performance on the Black Stars, because nobody's accounting to anybody. Why are we surprised that we're having this very terrible performance by the Stars? And we look at the FIFA rankings, itself tells a story. And you see the consistent decline over the period, to the point where we are now talking about 73rd in the world. We've been dropping from the 50s, 47s, right, where we're doing a bit okay, to 2024, the worst we've been since 2016. There's something fundamentally wrong with the way we're running the affairs of football and the Black Stars in this country. Something fundamentally wrong, and the rankings do not lie. So who expected that by some miracle we're going to qualify to the AFCON and waste more money? It ain't going to happen, because the evidence shows that we haven't done enough to earn it, and we kept dropping down a pecking order when it comes to the rankings. So there you have it. If you look at the top 5 AFCON winners, we still bask in that history that is so worn out and tired that we've won it 4 times, and so what? Right? Many of you possibly watching me were not born when the time we last won it. I was pretty young then myself. So this is absolutely nothing in red. Many have gone and passed us by. We're still holding on to that. And then what we've been doing is, each time we go to the AFCON and we underperform, the FA will simply say, we want to sack the coach. 6 coaches in 7 years. 6 coaches, an average really on 1 coach a year. That is staggering. Just to look at the numbers there. 6 coaches in 7 years. Whoever is making the appointments itself needs to be sacked. Because if you're making these appointments and they are incrementally performing poorer year after year, it's getting worse, not better, one coach the next, then appointing authority, which in this case is a GFA, and sometimes we know that the government has a stake in it, because if you taxpayers' money to fund the Black Stars and fund their GFA activities, somebody is making fundamental poor judgment in the appointment of coaches, and that person himself needs to go. And on this occasion, the axe must fall on the GFA. We'll have that conversation when my guests join me, because 6 coaches in 7 years with this performance and all the money we've spent that I haven't even money to talk about in paying the GFA and paying the coaches, that tells you that something fundamentally is very, very wrong. And here they are. In the long line of failings, as far as to varying degrees indeed. We tried local and we tried foreign, and they've all failed. Some have failed more than others, but they failed nonetheless. He in particular has failed more than most. He can't win a game. He can't even score. I mean, there hasn't been a chair for the Black Stars in a long time. And he had the effrontery to tell us today that he takes criticism and he values Jurgen Klopp's criticism and feedback than what we give him. We pay him, and he's telling us that. But that's what happens when somebody dumps you, goes back to Germany, then you go and bring him back to come and coach you. After he treated you that shabbily. I remember doing that show on PM Express after he left. And we brought him back. What do you expect him to say? He feels entitled. He feels he's doing us a favor. Utuado I'm talking about. He came in, did absolutely nothing, Chris, with all the reputation that he came from the EPL with. We've seen him again. I said the story already. Milovan came, did a fair bit, but didn't take us too far. And then we've seen Kwesi Appiah did his bit too. He's doing well now with Sudan. And then you have Siki Akono, who I've heard him talk today about what it would take to revive our fortunes as far as the national team is concerned. But there's a lot of money spent on these coaches. Let's ask the question. This failing to qualify is a blessing if only we can make good use of it to reform, to radically transform the fundamentals of football and begin to build back better. My guess will win after this break. It's been a disastrous campaign for the Black Stars. Let's talk about it. And as you know, tonight, PMX is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Academic Times, Pepsodent Cavity Fighter. And Academic Times is an incoming graphic and online publication aiming to collaborate with university authorities and students to ensure that students' research is published in some reform. Syntex Tank, Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is visiting 15 communities, giving free water to them. And this is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us #1. Now, if you are a community and you want to benefit from Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to their social media handles at syntexgh.com. Syntex Ghana at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. And Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is a toothpaste you need to use before you sleep tonight because, as you know, it makes sure that your breath is as refreshing as you can ever have it. And joining me for a conversation tonight are my guests who have been looking at this disastrous showing, the 20 years. I'm pretty sure many of them haven't seen this in a long, long time. Emmanuel Ajimabedu is a former Black Stars player himself and joins us. I'm curious to hear his view on what has just happened. Even the last game that was supposed to be a consolation, we managed to lose here today. Veronica Combe is a sports journalist, also joins me for with her take on this. Patrick Osei, Juman Songo, you know him, host of Fire for Fire, also joined me for a conversation. Ibrahim Sanidara, have been watching the Black Stars over the period, and last time he was with me, we're talking about what to do with the Stars. It's as worse as it's gotten over the period, and I'm delighted that he can join me again. And I want to go to the former Black Stars player because he knows a thing or two about playing in games and qualifying and fighting for the shirt. Mr. Ajimabedu, thanks for your time here on PM Express. Give me your reaction to how we've ended our campaign. It is disastrous. As a former Black Stars player, how are you feeling tonight?
My brother, good evening once again. I'm in pain. I'm in pain to the extent that where the game is heading to is really dangerous. And we need to admit for now that we are not that good. We are not good to the extent that if CAF have moved the qualification countries from 16 to 24 and still Ghana cannot qualify to Africa Cup of Nations, we need to admit that we are not good.
So you say we are not good. Is it about the players, the coaching, or the management team? Where do you put this problem?
You see, the problem we are having now, I think there are corporates always escape, and that is where we need to find where the corporates are. I don't think the entire problem lies on the coaches or the players. Well, national team, playing for national team and clubs that is different. So you might say, okay, they are doing well in their class, but why are they struggling in Ghana here? Yes, there's a coaching problem as well, but if after 5 years, you have changed 5 coaches, and you tell me the entire problem you are having with the national team is about the coaches or the players, then I will have a problem. We need to find it. Because in our time, and I will say this, you were having a management committee members for the Black Stars who has been there doing what Roman's job, doing everything for the team to get success. Today I'm talking where the Black if have, and if they have, what are they doing? It looks like they have left the coach alone to fight their problems, because they need to play their role as a management committee, because they supervise everything apart from the playing body. So if now I'm talking now, some years back, you will see Fred Papo, Fred Kester, Randy Abbey, Georgia Free, and all of them supporting President Yankees. Like now, I can't find them anywhere. We were having a crucial game in Libya, and everybody was cutting. There's none there supervising the team. So we have a serious problem, and it's not only the coaching and the players. You need to, if you want to do well, you need to sanitize the system more. By sanitizing, everybody needs to take some of the blame. The FA, they cannot take themselves from it. And see, the problem we have is when we politely advise or criticize or criticize, then there's a lot of people, they take it as hate or you don't like them. But this is not the problem. 1.5 years ago, on this your terrorist station, I said that if care is not taken, qualification to major tournament may be problematic. What are we seeing today? So we are in pain. I'm rather in pain where the game is heading to, not where we want it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the point that you are in pain, but Veronica, I can bet that you are not in pain because, as I've shown, this has been coming for a long, long time. Anybody who's been following the Black Stars evolve over the years would know that something fundamentally was wrong that we're not fixing. Right to assume that, right to say that that is a fair assessment?
That's fair assessment. Now,
sorry, Ajiman, let me bring in Veronica into the conversation. Hello, Veronica. Please unmute for me, Veronica. Please unmute for me.
Okay, Evans, is that better now?
I can hear you, yes.
Yes, so all I'm saying is that we are all very heartbroken, but because I'm a Ghanaian, first of all, I'm a football fan. So what it means is that I will be disappointed if we are unable to qualify for major competitions. I have said in the past that in reality, when the Black Stars or the national team start doing well, it affects all of us in a positive way. So without a doubt, I am very heartbroken. And if we have to go to the point where we say that we have been talking about this for a very long time, and indeed, it is what makes it even more painful, because we have been emphasizing that since 2008 to 2017, we made 6 semifinals, with 2 of them being finalists and semifinals. Let me put it that way. And we would have expected that we get better. But from 2019, after we exited at the round of 16, we have been exiting from the group stage. And the alarm bells were sounding by the day about the fact that there is something wrong. And if we don't have a genuine looking as to what we can do, then this day would happen. When we started the qualifiers, or when Otuado came, when we played the World Cup qualifiers, it all looked good because we beat Mali and came home to win. But when we kick off the AFCON campaign, it was all telling. It was easy to blame it on the pitch when we lost to Angola and then to Niger and Sudan, draw, and then the defeat. It was coming. And as far as this is so sad, my thinking is that if this is the lowest ebb we need to get so that those who are at the helm of our affairs or those who care about football or leading the charge would want to have a sit down and have a look in, then so be it.
Okay, and there's something that Keko Kruku has been saying. I want to put to Sunny Dara. Sunny, he says on this post that definitely this is not what we want and what we bargained for. At this point, only cool heads can win, and we as leaders of our sport will stay together, be honest with ourselves, and fix this problem, does he deserve to be there with himself and the rest to even be honest, to assess anything on the back of this? Sonny?
Only cool heads can win, and we as leaders of our squad.
Okay, I believe we have some feedback there. We'll try and rectify that. Let me put that to Veronica whilst we rectify that audio. Veronica, must he be there? And I want to start from the very top because I'll come to the coach. But must he be there to even do an assessment to try and fix the problem? He and the rest of the management.
I do think that the first thing he should be taking responsibility. Responsibility has been lost on.
Sonny, forgive me. We'll try and rectify that again. We have a challenge with the relay coming through from your end. We'll try and fix that. I want to hear from Veronica quickly. Veronica.
I still think that the first thing the GFA president should be doing is taking responsibility about the fact that he has supervised the worst ever spell for Ghana in 5 years. Back-to-back exit at the Nations Cup at the first round and now not qualifying. In any serious country, heads must be rolling, or people must have the integrity or the standard enough to say that I had ideas, I wanted to do well, I wanted to win the Nations Cup, and now that we do not qualify, it is important that I step aside because perhaps my ideas are no longer working. And I haven't even seen that in his post. And I also disagree that he seemed to think that the highest of the heights, per the quote, was qualifying for the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. No. In 2010, we were almost semi-finalists at the World Cup, so it cannot be the height of height. You have failed as an AFC president. I mean, the evidence is so telling. So I do not think that he should be there in the first place. But would he have the courage and the standard to know that having disappointed the nation so much, he should step down? It's something I can't really imagine will happen, because if I look at the tone of his post, it tells me that he feels he should be around. It's been 5 years, and you cannot say that the normalization or post-normalization, whatever, is still well underway. It is not. When you qualified the nation for the Nation Cup, the World Cup, you were gloating all over the place and taking the credit. You have failed. You must do the same, I'm afraid.
Let's bring in Sani. Hopefully his connection will be great. Sani, do you agree that on the back of this, Kirk and his group must step aside? Okay. We will try and fix that. Do we have Songo on the line? Okay, Songo will also join us pretty shortly. Let me bring in Ajiman Bedu. Ajiman, so let's start from the very top. As far as the management is concerned, what should happen now to Kirk and his rest of his group?
In our DNA, so that why we need to whatever happen. However, he is the head of and see how best they can help him to succeed.
All right, Juman, we have a challenge with that connection too. Let's fix it. You still listen to PM Express. We're having a conversation about the Black Stars. And if you're joining us tonight, they played a game tonight and they lost. You've seen it on your screens. This is after we have failed to qualify, and there was some expression of fighting for the flag and getting some consolation. It was all about honor today because you're playing that final game here in Ghana, and somehow we contrived to lose 2-1 on our own turf. So that is what you're watching on your screens there. It's the lowest we have sunk as the Black Stars, so-called footballing nation, in a long, long time. In the last 20 years, we have never been here before. Sonny, if you can hear me, I understand that we have managed to fix this now. I wanted to start from the top in diagnosing this problem and moving forward, really. That's the current management of the Black Stars and football in Ghana, led by Kirk and his team. Do they deserve to still be there on the back of this?
Well, I think that it's for them to decide. They have a mandate to run. They've won an election. It's up to Kurt and his team to decide on the next move they want to take. But that said, of course, they cannot, if there's glory, of course, they will take the glory for it. Of course, if there's failure, indeed, they must accept part of the blame, as Ajimambedu has stated. But I just want to warn against a trigger-happy approach where, when issues like this happen, we are all too eager to say, sack this person must go, this person must go. I think that it will be prudent for us to take a considered approach, look at what has gone wrong in our qualifiers, and then based on the considered analysis of what has gone wrong, a decision can be taken, whether people should be fired, whether people
what went wrong then for you?
Or whether we should improve on what we have done or fix what is broken.
What went wrong for you in this qualifiers?
I think that there's a lot of factors. Number one, the fact that we had a wishy-washy campaign. I say a wishy-washy campaign. At a time that a lot of teams were already preparing, we were even juggling about where to play, what our pitches are, and all of that. I also think that, we were lacking in some instances with player absences. As we've seen in the last match, for instance, 8 players pulled out. But there are also perhaps maybe deeper problems I see from afar, and that has to do perhaps with the way our coach has managed the team, even towards the end of the campaign. And I also think that the management committee and the executive committee of the GFA have not come up to the task. And I also think that the squad-wise, some of the players generally also have to take responsibility. The entire ecosystem did not work well. I think that each and every one has got to take a share of the blame.
Okay, but something radically must happen. You don't agree, to get us, at least put us on the path to recovery?
I think something radical must happen, but the radicality of it must also be in such a way that it does not completely destroy what is built. For me, I remember, where we came from, where we couldn't even go to the AFCON and perform well. We came back from those depths, and then we were able to go to the 2022 World Cup, where we saw some good matches, some good games, with a squad of an average age of 20.7. That showed that there was a lot of future in the team. Then when we came back, Otto left, Chris took over, the team went, it started sliding again. Otto came back, and then he came at a time that we were looking like almost like, losing our AFCON, our World Cup prospects. He came and revived the World Cup prospects. But the sticking point has been the AFCON. And unfortunately, all of these things came together as it is. So if you are to look at it from that point, you would say that we have to, there's prospect in the team, but, there are some changes that needs to be done. Perhaps my thinking is perhaps for Otto to reassess how he looks at our national teams, how he approaches players, how, he views a lot of things. The things that would work in Europe might not necessarily work in Africa. And these are some of the things. Otto has played for the Black Stars. He's a former player, so we can't say he doesn't have the African experience. He does. And I think that he needs to rate himself with the European thinking. Sometimes if players go wrong, there has to be consequences, but the consequences must come in such a way that it doesn't affect the team.
So Sonny, you're keeping Otto Addo?
For me, I'll keep him, no doubt. I'll keep him for these simple reasons, and I'll tell you why. Now, before we went for the 2022 World Cup, we knew where the depths we were. He came, he injected confidence in the team. We beat Nigeria to qualify. We went to the World Cup. We did creditably well. And the team showed prospect. The team was, with an average age, I think, of about 20.7. It's a young team. And look at the way all in the group that we found ourselves, we were young, we were the lowest ranked in the group, but we managed to beat South Korea. We put up a fantastic game against Portugal. Against Uruguay, we're a bit naive, but it showed that we were progressing. Chris took over. It was, things went awry. It needs to be picked up again. Otto came, he picked up the team. To beat Mali away from home is no child's play. We must remember that. And once that team has shown that prospect, that we are capable of beating Mali, it showed that we could go high. But in the African Cup of Nations, qualifiers, it did not go as we expected. And I think that the talent is there, the potential is there. Maybe there's the need for us to reflect carefully.
Okay.
And for the coach to learn the lessons that they've learned. And I think that for the management to also step up, Ajiman Bedu said something that was critical. And I've seen this thing to be very, very missing in this trajectory of things. For example, during President Kwesi Nyantakyi's era, even when things did not go well, you'll find members of the executive committee, people of the football fraternity coming out to explain things, how things going. But the silence these days is deafening, to be honest. The silence is deafening. And I think that the executives must also take part of their responsibility and in getting things right.
Yeah,
and they must,
So you keeping Otto Addo, the management team too. Let me bring in Songo into the conversation, who's just joining us on Zoom too. Songo, on the subject of the coach, he has said today on the back of the defeat that he will not resign and that he's not one of those people who will resign. And those people who are asking him to resign, you don't know him. If you know where I have come from as a person to arrive at this job, you won't even ask about my resignation. You agree with him? So, Sani says he'll keep him. Will you keep him?
I will not keep him. Very incompetent coach. His results are clear. Otto did what? Qualified us to the World Cup. It was just one remaining match. That was against Nigeria. And it was anybody's game. Playing against Nigeria was anybody's game. It's a traditional game. If you do your work well, you can qualify. And that is why we're able to qualify. We didn't even beat them. You understand? And, what at all did we see? Otto took over and when we went to the World Cup in Qatar, what happened? What performance? The coach who can't, explain that. A coach who can't read his opposition team to be able to come in strong when things are not working well, especially in the second half. You beat only South Korea. Even you didn't play anything better. It was just a luck. Look, you understand? So, Otto didn't show anything good as a good coach that can coach the Black Stars for the future at the World Cup. So we shouldn't have returned Otto back to Ghana to coach the national team. No. You understand? When you talk about something good and you want to keep a coach and you are doing our football good or well, then what are your results? Even when you go, you talk of the GFA, look at their results. Local football not going well. Where are the headline sponsors for local football? You understand? How we paying referees that we still owe them at the local level? How is the local football going? We don't have confidence using the local players to play the national team Black Stars. You understand? Where is the headline sponsor for the local league? So we can grow the talent, then we can be able to use them for the various national teams and the Black Stars. So you come to the national teams also, under 17, failed. The under 20, the FA has failed us. Under 20 today, they have failed us.
Is it an FA problem then? Is it a total management
they
of the
are part
football?
of the problem because they appointed the coach. They've appointed 4 coaches. You understand? 5 years in office as FA president with his rules. They've appointed 4 coaches and they've all failed. They've all failed us. So, I mean, they do the appointment. And if you do the appointment and you don't do correct appointment, this is what happened. They failed us at the national level. Also, at the junior side, they failed us. Then you come to the national level, that is the senior level where that is the Black Stars. They failed us to the extent that we were not able to qualify when we went to Cameroon. After 3 matches, we were out of the tournament. Then we had to come back. Then to Qatar. Qatar, the same thing happened. After 3 matches, we were out of the tournament. Then we have to come back home again, thinking that we will be able to put our house in order, correct our mistakes. No. They didn't do anything. Then we went to Cote d'Ivoire. Again, there, 3 matches, we are out of the tournament. This time around, we can't qualify. We do not be able to qualify. We are out of Morocco 2024 AFCON, 2025 AFCON. This time, so, I mean, look, where is the progression? What is the man trying to tell me? What is that man trying to tell me? What is he saying? You are coming down. You are not going forward. Our football is sinking and sinking because in Cameroon we played 3 matches. We're out of the competition. In Qatar we played 3 matches. We're out of the competition. Then in Cote d'Ivoire we played 3 matches. We're out of the competition. Now we can't even qualify at all. Now we didn't even qualify. With teams like Angola, Niger, Sudan. I mean, you are not ashamed of yourself that a nation like Ghana, 4 times African champions, we produce fantastic, great players. Tony Eboa, Bedi Pele, I mean, Reverend Osei Kofi, the late Robert Mensah, I mean, great names, great football administrators. The late Ben Kofi, I mean, we've produced a lot when it comes to football, African football, and world football. We've been to the world stage 4 times. And you are playing qualify against the likes of Niger, Angola, Sudan, and you are the last team on that table. Ghana were not able to qualify.
So what must happen now?
A single match.
What must happen to bring change, Songo?
You've got to sack people. I mean,
who must go?
Grow. At the FA level, then the coach. For the coach, he shouldn't even be the head coach as of now. As of now, he should have been sacked. For Otuado, as of now, he shouldn't even think about playing the World Cup qualifier. What are you talking about? We have 6 points. Your fellow countries and coaches are now studying the way Ghana we are going about our Black Stars and how we are using an incompetent coach. So we are going to be stuck at that 6 points. Then they will show us how to qualify to the World Cup. Though we have been able to qualify to the World Cup 4 times. This time, it will not be easy. Forget about amounting 6 points. Already beating Mali, and Mali can come here and beat us. Mali, the way you played Mali in Bamako and you won that game, the same way Mali can come here and beat us because you can't even beat Sudan, Angola, Niger, the likes of Comoros, Quebec. You have no business going to competitions like AFCON. You have no business going to competitions like World Cup. What are you saying?
And stay with me, Songo. And Sani Dara, on the point that Songo makes, the evidence is compelling, is it not, that consistently we've been on the downward trajectory under this administration. And I asked the question about what must radically change. You agree something radically must change. Songo says you need to sack people. You know, we've also had, you know, others make the same point. Heads must roll. Veronica Comey agrees with that too. I mean, it's hard not to think past the point of sacking people and heads rolling. I mean, how do you achieve the change?
I think it's very, very tempting, you know, to say that. In the heat of the moment, it's very, very tempting for anybody to come to that conclusion. Sack this person, sack this person, sack that person. But if you are to reflect deeply, even the coach of the Angola national team, Pedro Gonçalves, has been in the post or with the Angolan football system since 2018. He's coming on up to about maybe 8 to 10 years with the Angolan national team. The same applied to somebody like Aliou Cisse, the coach that has left the Senegalese national team. It was such a virulent campaign against him because initially things did not go well. President Senghor decided that he was going to stick and stay with him, and they did. And that was when they were able to break that dark of Senegal winning and becoming a stable national team. For us to be stable, of course, we have to learn from the mistake that we do. But we must also, like they are saying, there must be some stability. And if the coach has shown, like we have all admitted, that he's taken us to the World Cup, we were flailing before he took over again.
But Basongo makes the point that he
like
played a game against Nigeria. It could have been anybody's game, and he won that game. It wasn't something they can judge.
But he qualified. If he didn't do, we'll be singing a different tune now. And you must remember, it's not any mean Nigerian team. Most of their players are playing with the top teams in the world. Osimhen.
But that's a derby. I mean, Sonny, that's a derby. Derby game, anybody can win that game. I mean, it's not. You don't judge a coach based on one
but with
one
a
match.
star-studded against a rookie team, you have to give him the credits for that. You can't downplay that. That is history. It is embedded in the football history of Ghana that Otuado took Ghana to the World Cup.
And what did you do at the World Cup?
Whether it was
taking us
against
to the World Cup, what did you do?
What?
What did he do? Taking us to the World Cup. What did he do? What was his achievement?
Won a game. He won a game.
Listen,
and lost 2.
Yes.
At the time when he went into that group as the lowest ranked team in the group. The World Cup is not a child's play. It's at the highest level of world football.
Within that, let me tell you,
you must not be trigger happy.
There were no team.
Must use calm heads.
At that time, their football was declining. Uruguay was no team. Yes, Uruguay, their national team was declining, and there were no team. But Uruguay, you couldn't even.
Don't conflate things. We went there as the lowest ranked team. We were able to beat South Korea that was 14th in the world at that time. And we did creditably well against Portugal. We did not disgrace ourselves. That is a fact.
What
we
did
played
you do?
really well. We showed it. He's
He's
come back again. He's shown us that he's able to take the team back to where it belongs. Yes, admittedly, he's done some mistakes with the qualifiers. I admit that. He's done some mistakes, but we should allow him to fix it. He would learn his lesson. So we would allow him to fix it. Let there be some stability.
Let me also
okay.
Let me allow somebody who is competent to fix situation. You don't just appoint anybody because you feel that, oh, that is my body, who can do my bidding for me. We've seen Otuado. He is incompetent. Otuado, even calling players, they are not based on merit. I can tell you for a fact, these are not only our good players that we have. I can tell you for a fact, you are not the only one watching football. Well,
which player has he called that doesn't merit a call?
Listen, let me finish. If Otuado is watching Ghana, and we are in a group of Niger, Angola, Sudan, and you can't even win a single match, it is serious. It is dangerous. It is very dangerous for the nation. Very serious. And we need to get the coach out. Listen, those 5-member committee sat down to appoint Otuado. They've done this service to Ghanaians. Why am I saying this? They came out with a whole lot of criteria, including a 15-year experienced coach. And at that time, too, yes, we needed an experienced coach with a DNA that can match ours. But what happened? We came back with this trainer scout, and this is the result. The results are clear, and you have to understand it. That it's not working. Otuado, it's just something we are trying. It's somebody's favorite, but it is not the nation's favorite. We've seen him.
Okay.
He's incompetent.
Let me hear. I've not heard Veronica. Veronica, I want to hear Veronica quickly because of time. Yes, Veronica, and I'll come back to you, Sani Dara.
So I have sympathy for someone like Sani Dara, worked as the FA spokesperson, without a doubt, very close to the current FA. But you see, Sani, it is the dishonesty around the FA is one of the reasons why we are here. It is very important that we call a spade a spade. When the FA decided to give us Otuado, they set the nation up to fail because he did not qualify to be the Black Stars coach. Forget about the fact that he qualified us for the World Cup. I'm not taking the credit away from him. But if you compare our 2 victories plus the matches that we have played in the qualifiers, Sonny, if anybody wants to be honest, like the GFA president is preaching that we should all be honest, Otuado should be a goner. The only dilemma we have here today is that this same GFA have changed many coaches and the result is still the same. So what it means is that whilst Otuado is not qualified enough to coach the Black Stars, there is also a major problem, and the problem is simply beyond coaches. It is why we are saying that Otuado must go, and beyond that, the GFA themselves, the hierarchy, should do themselves a favor and say that, well, we had ideas. We wanted to win the Nations Cup. I remember that the president said that not too long ago. But we have run out of ideas, or ideas are not working, and we need to go. I do hope that they will have some standards, because the way I see it and the way they are operating, there are zero standards at the FA. And when you talk about the fact that Ali Cisse and others had a lot of opportunities with their national team, it's only because Senegal was no powerhouse. How many Nations Cup had they won then? We pride ourselves to be 4-time African champions. We have won the World Cup at under 17 level, 2009 at 20 level. So we have a rich history behind us. It is the reason why we have the impudence to talk the way we do sometimes. Yeah. And I do believe that for that sake, it is important that we make drastic changes. And I hope the FA will be bold enough to look themselves in the mirror and say that we have failed. Okay. And it's important that
that's an important point. And Sonny, yeah, you give me your final thoughts on this. And must the government be involved in this radical overhaul?
For me, I think that we need cool heads. We should not push the button. Football is not done by a push of a button. The difference is that there are a lot of people who, are far away from the administration of football, and a lot of people have ideas. But when you are in the thick of affairs, it's different. Sometimes you need patience. Sometimes you need to bite the bullet when you need to bite the bullet, And then we must remember, African football has changed for the better. The teams that we thought, were minnows in the past have grown. And we must also grow at the pace that they are growing so we can be better. I believe that we have the players, we have the squad. There are nitty-gritty, there are some, tiny problems within the team, within the setup, management and all of that. I think that if those things are fixed, in no time we'll be back at the top of it. I think the World Cup campaign could be a good place for us to start. And I'm hopeful for the future of Ghana. Okay, gentlemen and lady, thank you very much. We'll return to the Black Stars, definitely. I'm grateful. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Songo has a lot more to say on this, I know. I know.
Now we are calling for the head of Otuado. You are trying. He's the baller. I'm telling you the truth.